Hello everyone, hello fellow writers, welcome back to my channel. So, I realized that my internet is down, unfortunately. I'm gonna get it fixed tomorrow morning, but I felt motivated to work on my science fiction novel, the one about the experiments gone wrong. And so I started writing a bit, and then I was like, let me set up the camera to talk about this. Right now, I want to work on the characters' personalities because I was looking at my task list, and I can't really show it because it's on my phone and I'm filming on my phone. And I finally checked off finish updated outline because you guys know I'm done with the updated outline, I'm done with the regular outline. I've done some world building, so those were already checked off, but I still need to fix the character profiles on my Milanote. I still need to finish the world building, like figure out what type of technology they have, do some layouts of a few locations, and I don't need to make the cover, but it's helpful to inspire me, so I want to make a new cover and write a better summary. So cover, summary, character profiles, and finishing up world building are the four main things I need to do before I start writing for the sci-fi novel. And right now, since I don't have internet, I was going to come up with some technology, but when I realized the character profiles, some of them were empty, I was like, why don't I kind of talk this out? For each story that I have, I like to write out my character profiles differently. For one of my suspense thrillers, the GB one, that story, the way that I wrote the character profiles, it was so funny. I was at the beach and I decided to write voice memos for each of them because this is a story that I wrote, I think, in high school or middle school. So I kind of already know the characters. I already wrote a first draft of the second book. So I was just going off the top of my head. I knew these characters, so I was just speaking it. And then when I got home, I just wrote what I had from the voice memos. And then my other story, the one about, the man who thinks his sister reincarnated into this teenage girl, the way that I wrote those profiles, because the characters, some set of characters are really close and then the other set are really close, I focused on those relationships, especially the teenage characters. I focused on their relationship to each other when I was writing out the character profiles. And I think for that story specifically, I chose 3 adjectives to describe each character. So I would start off their profiles with like, I don't know, charming, deceptive, happy, and then go into a summary of who these characters were in the story and how they relate to the adjectives, I loved that. For that story, that was great. For this one, my sci-fi novel, I have so many characters. And looking through what I already wrote about them, it's less about who they are and more about what has gone on in their life that has led them to where they are at the beginning of the story, and how their past motivates them to fight for what's right, and why they feel so strongly about their cause. So there are a lot of flashbacks in this story because of that. And the reason why this story used to be called Valor's Rebirth is because all of these characters were dealing with something before they all met up, before the beginning of the book, and they all came together and realized, like, yeah, we're on the same team, we want to fight for the same thing. But their reasons for fighting are different, well, slightly different. One character is dealing with a drug addiction because of some horrible things that had happened to him. Um, I don't want to give too much, but he was targeted in a way, and it just left him with a lot of anxiety, and he started to self-medicate, and that just went left. So that's his past, and he hasn't even talked about that like in the beginning of the story. It shows up in the beginning of the story, but the other characters don't know about that. Another character, she's a free spirit. She can be very irresponsible, especially with her finances, very inconsiderate with how her irresponsible ways affect other people, especially her family members. And that also has a huge part to play with what's going on with the plot and how basically all of this is happening. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's my fault. And the other character, with her past, I'm still trying to figure out what her past is like. I know that there's a strained relationship between her and her older sister, because she ends up needing to stay with her older sister for a bit because she's on the run after escaping from the trials, and things just didn't really go well there. But I'm trying to figure out before that what caused the strain, what was going on in her life. I was wondering if maybe like she doesn't have a good relationship with her family members and she was on her own, and that's why she got into the trials in the first place. I'm just trying to figure out what her backstory is. So I don't know how I want to format these profiles. If I don't want to do the adjectives, of course. Yeah, it's just gonna be like what they're dealing with in their past, and that's how they got to this place. Anyways, I'm gonna start writing these things down and talk as things come to me. So I think I figured out a format, and that's what I mean. All of these different all of these different stories have a different format for the character profiles. So my first character, Sienna, lives a life of adrenaline, indulgence, and fresh air. I'm just the type of person, I guess I like things in 3, but I'm not gonna stick to that because that's not necessary. So, for my second character, Bethany, lives a life in the shadows, holding on to threads of fulfillment. I don't really like the fulfillment part, but I like, lives a life in the shadows, definitely, because she doesn't give much. She doesn't talk about her life or her past or anything like that. Holding on to threads of fulfillment. The reason why I put that is because I feel like she has these threads of like relationship or friends, that she holds dearly. So I don't know if I should put holding on to threads of love or holding on to threads of something. So I'm just gonna leave it as threads of fulfillment for now, and then maybe add an alternative. So lives a life in the shadows, holding on to threads of hope that she can walk in the light again. So these are just going to be like the beginnings. It's not going to be the entire profile. So my next character, This is the one dealing with the drug addiction that is mentioned at the very start. He deals with a lot of anxiety and not being very confident in himself because the stuff in the past really killed his confidence. Though, I mean, he didn't have a lot to start with, but definitely he had more than this. Lives a life of anxiety. Maybe I could say lived a life of anxiety. Desperately trying to build his confidence back up. If I'm doing a this but wants this, like Bethany's in the shadows but she wants to walk in the light, Dominic deals with anxiety but he wants to be more confident, I gotta change Sienna's. But the thing about it is, like, she doesn't, I mean, does she really change? Or does she just channel these things better? So I don't want to make it seem like she turns into something else. Does she become a little more responsible? I don't know. She's just driven by guilt. So lives a life of adrenaline, indulgence, and fresh air until maybe I'll put lived. Lived a life of adrenaline, indulgence, and fresh air until the guilt caught up. So the adrenaline, indulgence, and fresh air could still be there, but I guess because of how she feels like everything is her fault, it prompts her to be more disciplined about these urges. So, lived a life of anxiety. Or actually, it's not lived because he's still anxious. So, lives a life of anxiety. Desperately trying to build his confidence. Oops. And I think he's also trying to prove himself to himself, because another character really trusts him, and so he doesn't want to let her down, which is so crazy because that character obviously feels like she let someone else down. So those layers, man. Maybe I could put ... He doesn't want to let her down. Cool. Okay, well, that's good for now. It's pretty late, so I'm gonna eat a bit and go to bed, but I'm gonna read these again just for y'all. So their profiles are focused on their past, their background that led them to this point, and why they are so motivated to fight. So Sienna lived a life of adrenaline, indulgence, and fresh air until the guilt caught up. Bethany lives a life in the shadows, holding on to threads of fulfillment or of hope that she can walk into the light. Dominic lives a life of anxiety, desperately trying to build his confidence. He doesn't want to let her down. Okay, there we go. I found a format. So I'm thinking of having, this is like their intro. So all the characters will have an intro like this and then go deeper into, you know, what that life of anxiety is. Why did this anxiety come up? You know, what caused him to want to build his confidence? Who is he letting down? Why does he care about letting her down? I can expand more on those. So those are just 3 characters and I have many more. I don't know if I'll film those, but I'm really happy about this. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video, maybe a part 2. Bye.